long before the world fell into chaos. When Emperor Zhezong of the Song dynasty still ruled from the jade halls of Kaifeng, the capital bustled with the rich, the cunning, and the fallen. Among the latter was a streetwise drifter named Gao Q. Gao was a man of no virtue, little education, and great ambition. His talents were curious. He could fence with a bamboo stick, sing bawdy songs in 7 keys, and most impressively, kick a leather ball with such flair that crowds would cheer and coins would fly. He had no family to speak of, no trade, and no shame. In Kaifeng, he was known simply as Gao the Kicker. That all changed with a clever stroke of a brush. When he was forced into exile after angering a wealthy merchant, Gao changed the character in his name from Q, ball, to Q, rise. Now he wasn't a street jester, he was a rising man, and rise he did. He wandered through provinces, attaching himself like moss to wealthy patrons. Eventually, he found refuge with an old gambling boss named Liu Shiquan, who took him in for 3 years, feeding him, teaching him tricks, and, most importantly, introducing him to people with power. Through one of Liu's connections, Gao returned to Kaifeng and delivered a letter to Su Shui-shi, a scholarly nobleman. Su read the letter and, with a bemused smirk, decided Gao wasn't worth keeping. But instead of throwing him out, he passed Gao on to someone who would appreciate his kind. A flamboyant prince, the emperor's brother-in-law, Prince Duan, the future Emperor Huizong. Gao walked into that palace a street rat. He left it wearing silk. As it happened, Prince Duan was celebrating his birthday that week, and the courtyard was filled with musicians, dancers, and noble guests. Gao, ever the performer, found himself on the practice field watching the prince and his companions playing kuju, a kind of ancient football with style and ceremony. The prince missed a shot. The ball bounced, rolled, and came to a stop at Gao's feet. He looked up. Everyone looked at him. A moment passed. Then Gao, with all the theatrical poise of a seasoned entertainer, twirled once, flicked the ball into the air with his toe, spun, and kicked it perfectly back into the prince's arms. Gasps, then applause, then laughter. "What's your name?" the prince asked. "Gao Q," he said, kneeling. "You're mine now," said the prince. And just like that, Gao was promoted from errand boy to palace companion. He served wine. He offered jokes. He played ball better than anyone at court. And when Prince Duan became Emperor Huizong, Gao Q found himself named commander of the Imperial Guards, the highest military post in the realm. It was, as fate would have it, a terrible mistake. Not long after taking command, Gao Q began reviewing the officers under his authority. One name stood out: Wang Jin, a respected martial instructor, son of the legendary spearman Wang Sheng. A loyal man, a disciplined teacher. Gao's lips curled. He remembered Wang Sheng. Many years ago, during a street performance, Gao had made the mistake of showing off his spear tricks near Wang Sheng's home. Wang Sheng had walked out with a real spear, challenged him, and humiliated him in front of a crowd. Now, Gao could finally return the favor against the sun. He summoned Wang Jin and accused him of faking illness to avoid duty. When Wang Jin, pale from real fever, arrived to explain, Gao didn't even look at him. "So, You're the son of a street clown, Gao spat. My father was a teacher of generals, Wang replied, bowing. A liar and a coward, Gao snapped. Guards, beat him! The soldiers hesitated. Many were friends of Wang Jin, but none dared disobey. Wang was spared a public flogging only because the date was inauspicious for violence. But Gao's threat was clear. I'll deal with you tomorrow. Wang returned home that night, blood pounding in his ears. Mother, he said to the elderly woman who had raised him alone, we must leave Kaifeng tonight. I have no future here. They fled at dawn, slipping through the city gates with a donkey, a bamboo pack, and 2 silver coins. Their destination, the frontier city of Yan'an, where Wang hoped to join the garrison under General Zhong. It was far, remote, and dangerous, but beyond Gao Q's reach. They traveled by foot and ferry, resting in temples and roadside inns. One evening, they found themselves lost in a forested valley as darkness fell. No towns, no inns, only shadows. Then a glimmer, torchlight beyond the trees. A farmhouse. Wang approached and knocked. A farm hand appeared, skeptical but not unkind. Wang bowed. My mother is ill and we've lost our way. May we rest in your barn tonight? I can pay. The man nodded and went to ask the head of the household, an old white-haired gentleman with kind eyes and a strong back. He listened. He nodded. You're welcome here, he said. Wang bowed again. They were shown to the barn where Wang cared for the donkey and unpacked rice and dried fish. The host provided hot water and a modest dinner. It was a simple kindness, but in a cruel world, it meant everything. The next morning, Wang walked to the corral to feed the donkey. That's when he saw a boy of about 17, shirtless, his chest covered in swirling black ink tattoos of 9 dragons. He was swinging a wooden staff, spinning it in patterns, fast, aggressive, but unrefined. Wang watched in silence. Then, without meaning to, he muttered, Too many flourishes. That strike would never land in a real fight. The boy froze. He turned. What did you say? Wang smiled. You're strong, but your footwork's uneven. If you'd like. Fight me, the boy shouted. Before Wang could reply, the old farmer appeared and barked, Enough, Shi Jin! The boy grumbled, but obeyed. Forgive him, said the old man. That's my son. He's always had a temper, and too many teachers. He has potential, said Wang. If you'll allow me, I can train him properly. Thus began the mentorship of Wang Jin and Shi Jin, the tattooed youth who villagers called the 9-Dragon Hero. For months, Wang trained him, staff, spear, sword, and bow. Shi Jin absorbed every lesson like fire meeting oil. He became faster, smarter, more disciplined, and he treated Wang's mother like family. It might have been peace, but fate, like plague and politics, never sleeps for long, and the mountains nearby had new tenants. The village of Shijiazhuang lay nestled beneath the shadow of Mount Huashan, its fields golden with autumn and its homes sturdy with age. But peace, as ever, was fragile. From the misted peaks of Huashan, bandits had begun to descend. Roving gangs with sharpened blades and sharpened hunger, they robbed grain stores, they ambushed merchants, they took whatever they pleased. Their leaders were 3. Zhu Wu, the miracle strategist, a wiry man with deep eyes and a scroll always tucked into his belt. Chen Da, the leaping tiger, broad-shouldered and restless, a spear never far from his hand. Yang Chun, the white serpent, silent, swift, and deadly, with a blade. They had gathered 100 men in the hills and declared themselves kings of the mountain. Word reached the village that the bandits planned to pass through Shijiazhuang on their way to sack a nearby county. The villagers panicked, but Shijin, now nearly a man, stood up at the village hall and struck the table with his fist. "We won't wait for them to rob us. We will stop them." He turned to Wang Jin. "Master, you've trained me. Let me prove it." Wang studied his student. "This is not a training ground, Shijin. It's war." "Then let me face it." Wang nodded once. They rang the warning bell. By evening, over 200 villagers, armed with poles, sickles, and borrowed courage, stood behind Shijin at the edge of the village. Shijin wore his training armor and carried a long-handled double-edged blade. A horn sounded, dust rose, and over the ridge came Chen Da, leading 50 bandits on horseback. He halted at the sight of Shijin and his ragtag army. The two stared at each other. "Boy," Chen Da called, "move aside. We don't rob peasants, just passing through." "You're not passing anywhere," Shijin said. "You've crossed the wrong path." "You've crossed the wrong man," Chen growled. He kicked his horse forward. Shijin spurred ahead. The clash was sudden, blades flashing, hooves thundering, fists pounding. Shijin ducked Chen's spear and slammed the flat of his blade into the horse's flank. The beast bucked. Chen tumbled, and before he could rise, Shijin had pressed his blade to the bandit's throat. "Yield." Chen spat dust, but he yielded. The bandits, stunned by their leader's defeat, scattered. The villagers erupted in cheers. That night, Chen Da was tied to the pillar in Shijin's courtyard. Wang Jin advised handing him to the magistrate, but Shijin hesitated. "He's not just a thief," he said. "He fights with honor." Wang frowned. "He would not have spared you." "Perhaps, but I will spare him." And so Shijin fed his prisoner, even let him bathe. He asked nothing in return, only silence and reflection. 3 days later, 2 cloaked figures arrived at the edge of the village. Ju Wu and Yang Chun had come, but not with blades. They knelt in the dirt, tears on their cheeks. "Let us die with him," Ju Wu said. "We swore to share fate. Don't separate us." "You'd face death to keep your vow?" Shijin asked. "Gladly." Shijin was silent. Then he sheathed his blade. "Then live, all of you." He untied Chen Da, offered wine, and said, "You may return to the mountain, but remember this mercy." The bandits wept, they bowed, and they left. Weeks passed. And then, one day, a hunter named Li Ji was passing through the woods and saw something strange. A drunken villager, Wang Si, one of Shijin's errand men, staggering beneath a heavy pouch of silver, too heavy for any errand boy. Curious, Li Ji followed. That night, as Wang Si snored beneath a tree, the pouch spilled. Silver coins, a scroll sealed with red ink, a gift from the mountain. Li Ji read enough to understand. Shijin was receiving gifts from bandits. He packed the scroll and coins, rode to Huayin County, and reported it to the magistrate. A warrant was issued that very night. By the time Shijin heard the gallop of hooves, it was too late. Soldiers surrounded the village, torches blazing, spears glinting. Shijin ordered the gates shut, the weapons raised, but Wang Jin grabbed his arm. "You cannot win this. They'll burn the village." "They accuse me of treason. Then let the traitor vanish." And so, beneath a full moon, Shijin escaped through the orchard, disappearing into the hills. The villagers lied, the magistrate raged, but no trace was found. From then on, the name Nine-Dragon Shijin passed in whispers. Some said he joined the bandits. Some said he wandered seeking justice. But those who remembered him, the villagers of Shijiazhuang, spoke only one truth. He was no traitor. He was our protector. And far, far away, in the mountains where the mist never lifts, 3 outlaws raised a bowl to the wind and said, "A brother lives."